Picture this. It's a perfectly peaceful evening. You're chilling on the couch, and your feline majesty's curled up right there in your lap. They're purring away, you're gently petting them. I mean, it's tranquil, it's almost perfect. But then, literally in the blink of an eye, bam, the mood shatters. Those sharp little teeth suddenly clamp down on your hand. You pull back, shocked, hurt, nursing a fresh wound. If you're a cat owner, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Well, today we're treating this explainer like a biological detective story to figure out exactly why this happens. As you're sitting there looking at your hand, it's completely natural to look at your cat and think, wait, what did I do wrong? Do they actually hate me? It kind of feels like a betrayal, doesn't it? But hey, I'm here to completely validate those feelings of confusion and then immediately relieve you of them. Because the truth is your cat does not hate you. That sudden bite, not a betrayal at all. In reality, it's this incredibly complex, ancient psychological code that felines have literally used for thousands of years. The problem is just that, well, most of us are completely misinterpreting it. Okay, let's dive into this. So your hands never have to bleed again. We're going to decode the 4 distinct psychological secrets behind this mystery: sensory overload, wild survival instincts, the belly trap, and hidden warnings. All right, let's start with secret number 1. Secret number 1, decoding sensory overload. So animal behaviorists actually have a scientific term for this. They call it petting-induced aggression. It basically happens when continuous physical stimulation completely overwhelms their sensitive nerve endings. Think about it from their perspective for a second. When you start petting them, especially if you're hitting the exact same spot over and over, it feels amazing at first. To them, it's like getting a fantastic, deeply relaxing massage. But if that petting goes on just a little too long, those nerve endings hit a threshold, and the sensation totally flips. What was super pleasant suddenly turns into this highly irritating, prickly feeling. Imagine getting continuous static shocks. That is literally what it starts to feel like for them. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why they get overstimulated so incredibly fast. I mean, when we compare human skin to feline skin, there's a massive physiological difference. A cat's skin is nothing like ours. It is completely covered with millions of hair follicles and incredibly delicate nerve endings. Because their sensory hardware is just so much more concentrated than ours, they hit that overload point super quickly. What feels like a really gentle, repetitive stroke to our thick skin is an absolute flood of sensory data to theirs. So when they reach that tipping point, they have to communicate it. If we could somehow translate your cat's inner monologue right at the moment of the bite, it would sound something like, "All right, human, that's enough. I can't take it anymore." See, that sudden bite isn't malicious. It is quite literally their emergency stop button. When the sensation becomes just too much to bear, a quick nip is simply the most effective way they know to halt that overwhelming feeling right in its tracks. Moving on to secret number 2, primal wild survival instincts. We have to remember that even though cats have been living indoors with humans for thousands of years, sleeping on plush pillows, eating from little crystal bowls, their DNA tells a totally different story. Deep down, cats are still solitary predators. Out in the wild, they're fierce hunters. But here's the kicker. They're also relatively small, which means they are simultaneously prey for larger animals. This crazy duality of being both the hunter and the hunted, it's hardwired right into their brains. So when your cat completely lets its guard down to enjoy some affection in your lap, it actually triggers a really deep-seated survival alarm. Think about it. Staying completely relaxed for too long goes against absolutely everything their wild ancestors taught them. And this creates a profound internal conflict. One part of them just wants to soak up the warmth and the affection, but the other part, it is terrified of being that vulnerable. Their tiny brains start frantically sounding the alarm, like, "You're being way too careless. What if a predator attacks right now?" This intense conflict between comfort and vulnerability creates a massive sudden spike of anxiety. And when that anxiety peaks, they react. The bite is a primal reflex to instantly regain control of their space. They're not sitting there consciously deciding to hurt you. The strike is pure survival instinct, totally overriding their domestic comfort. By biting and jumping away, they're basically proving to themselves that they can still react to a threat. They regain their spatial autonomy, and that finally quiets down that evolutionary alarm bell ringing in their heads. All right, here we go. Secret number 3, the exposed belly trap. Now, what's really interesting about this is that it's the classic trap that literally 99% of cat owners fall for. You know the drill. Your cat rolls over on the rug, stretching out, showing off that fluffy, absolutely irresistible tummy. Naturally, you interpret this as a super clear invitation. You're thinking, oh, they want a belly rub. But you would be completely wrong. It is the ultimate trap in the pet world. When a cat shows you their belly, it actually is a sign of ultimate trust, but it is definitely not an invitation for physical contact. See, the abdomen houses all of their vital, most vulnerable organs. By exposing it, they're showing you their absolute weakest spot just to prove they trust you. But if you foolishly reach in to rub it, you break that trust. Their instincts immediately start screaming that their forbidden vulnerable zone is under lethal attack. And when they feel like those vital organs are threatened, their response is highly tactical. Your cute, fluffy little pet instantly turns into a highly efficient predator, executing this primal combat move meant to completely neutralize the threat. First, they lock onto the invading target, your hand, with their front paws. Second, they bite down. And third, they unleash that rapid-fire bunny kick with their incredibly powerful hind legs. It's a highly systematic defense mechanism, and it all happens simply because we misread a gesture of profound trust as an invitation for a belly rub.
Which brings us to secret number 4, reading hidden warning signs.
So many cat parents swear that the bite happens completely out of nowhere, but animal behaviorists will tell you that is a total myth. Cats almost always send warning signals. And exactly how much warning do they give? 10 to 20 seconds. Seriously, 10 to 20 seconds. In the animal kingdom, that is a massive window of time. For up to 20 seconds before they strike, they are actively telling you to stop. The reality is, we humans are just usually way too distracted, maybe by how soft they are or by whatever's on TV, to actually notice the countdown happening right there in our laps.
So, the crucial point is knowing exactly what to look for during those 10 to 20 seconds. Think of this as your biological decoder ring. First, watch the tail. If it starts thumping heavily against the couch or twitching really quickly from side to side, they are losing patience. Second, check the ears. They'll rotate backward or flatten completely sideways. Behaviorists actually call these airplane ears. Third, keep an eye on the fur. The skin on their lower back will visibly ripple or twitch as those nerve endings get totally overloaded. And finally, listen and feel. Their purring will abruptly stop and their entire body will go completely rigid, like a statue. If you see or feel any of these signs, you gotta pull your hand away immediately. Don't wait for the next sign, just stop. By understanding sensory overload, respecting their wild survival instincts, avoiding that dreaded belly trap, and memorizing those hidden warning signs, you now have the tools to completely change how you interact with your cat. You're not just guessing anymore, you're actually reading their ancient psychological language. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this question. The next time your feline majesty curls up in your lap, purring away, will you be ready to read their hidden code before the next bite strikes?